ويثيدي دي تولين TQ5 تزغام داكن 12 فوغا يموتو سلاغمايا قبور JSK اكتواسن ستيفان زيوتكو 12 دي فوغا من الميكانيك ينطل املاس دونك سمانه من بعد دي 17 فوغا الى يون نغماس ذا بولوني اكتواسن سيسم ميشيل زيغلارتس ديون نغماس انا ذلان جورناليست سبورتيف فيغوران اذليس فلاس سوازاليس سادان شني غاد نمسلاي فلاس ازولينس بولون كيتواليم ستيفان زيوتكو دو لفيف تاغيوان تندار ايغلول الاما يغال ذا الغور نتفريغ تاكي دي تيستوخلاغ غار تقبايليت سبولونيث ميشيل زيغلار ذا نفكيناغ ذا نغماس كي غنادال يخدم طاس كارميسن كي كيري شدن لدغا ودال سيلول كواس نوحدو سباين نزول بولوند يوث تمذيت بقارن سيليسيا سينير ميشيل سينير azul فلاك
azul. Hello, good morning to everybody.
Now you know all the Kabis, they were very, very sad about the death of the great coach of JSK, Stefan Żywotko. Before going further and talk about your book, Stefan, Michel, sorry, let's give us a brief introduction. I know that you wrote 4 books and you studied in South Poland at the University of Silesia, I guess. Tell us more about you, please.
I'm a journalist. I'm a sport reporter. Working for almost 25 years as a journalist. I have been working in a few newspapers and some website. So I have experience. I've written 4 books. My first book was written about African football. It was a book. It was a book before the first World Cup in African soil, 2010. And what can I say about myself? I love Africa. I have lots of friends in Africa. First time I went to South Africa, 1998. A friend from Cape Town, Clyde. He invited me there for his wedding, so I went there. I was a best man on his wedding, and I remember that when I was flying from Europe to South Africa to Cape Town, I was sitting next to a German doctor, and he told me at that time that he was going to Africa, to South Africa for the 4th time. I asked him, why so many times you go there? And I still remember his words. He explained to me that, he said that Africa is like a virus. When you once there, you just want to come back. And, it's true. I was in African countries several times. As a journalist, I cover 3 Africa Cup of Nations, 2004 Tunisia, 2006 Egypt, 2008 Ghana. I was looking for traces of Emmanuel Olisadebe. He was a Nigerian who was playing in the Polish national team 20 years ago. So I went to Nigeria. I was cooperating for some time with Nigerian Daily Complete Sport. And well, it was another idea, like to write a book about such a great person like Stefan Żywotko. He spent so many years in Algeria. I knew before from Algerian journalist who I met in Tunisia, in Egypt. They told me a lot about his personality, his influence on JSK. So I decided to write a book about him. And of course, one of the reasons, you know, it was like going to Algeria, to Tizi to talk to people, to understand more about the club, the culture of kabyle, the language. It was one of my best trip in my life. Like,
if you don't mind, just give me some time to translate what all you said briefly before jumping to Stefan Żywotko and JSK and so on. With this one in TQ5 et Michel. شي كيبونا كيكير شحال كورا كتابين يورا 4 انك يروح يونا يطاس ثورا تفريق تيني حمله تصطاس انك مو فيروس ما فات تكشمو ضيبا تمورا تفريق وما تفر وتفضل غايسين تزقد تروحوا دنتا كون دنيا ديون نغماس ندال journaliste sportif يطاس ديال تقفوشين تفريق دي ديكوفري ما زعما تدني كاين غير دي صاور ذاك كاين صاحبي سنان داك كان يخدم ما دي تينيغلان دي مصر دي تونس دي نيجيريا يعني كاين يروح عطس فريق بونزور لافريك دو سود عندها يزكا تروحوا ارضينا كاين سوز كان شي دينا ماس ميشيل سقسيني دي سدون ويفن سقسيرا سينير شي كيصوضن تامور ستيفان زيوتكو. My next question, Stefan, you wrote 4 books. The first one in 2010, as you said, and then 2013. But the last one that you wrote, it was just last, I guess, fall 2021 about Żywotko. What's the reason that you want to write about Stefan Żywotko?
It's I must say that Stefan Żywotko, he's a well-known in Algeria. He's a famous person over there. But for Polish fans, you know, I would say that people barely remembered him because, you know, he's like 100 years. Yes, he died like being 2000, to be 102. So in Poland, you know, people barely remembered him. It's contrary to what is in Algeria. And well, I would say that the story of his life, the story of his work, it's like a commemoration of the story of Poland. I'd like to say that he was born 1920, and maybe, you know, for many people in Algeria, for kabyle people, you don't know that Poland gained independence after the First World War, 1918, after 123 years of being divided among German, Russia, and Austria. So I would say, I'd like to say that his life it's like a commemoration of the history of Poland. And for me, like as I said, I love Africa. You know, this special period in his life, like 14 years, almost 14 years in Algeria. It's like, you know, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So it was like for me as a reporter, as a writer, like, you know, it was a fantastic topic to write a book about him.
Thank you. Let me translate to the kabyle language what you said. What did you mention it about Żywotko? إنك إذا كان صح شو كيبين تمر كيكين أونيا وذل أدليس غاف ثوذرت Żywotko ما إلا ستيفان Żywotko يتوسن مليح الجزائر لدغا القبيليين ماشي لابولون ويتوسنا طاس دا شكي جان فغا أثيسينين بولونيين شكون ذا نجزم فرحان يكسعدنا 14 سكوسن تو درتيس دي ثموثني قبيليين ويغال اسم مشاعن ويفن أثيسينين بولونيين لكن إنك داغان مثل مزروي ستيفان Żywotko اسمي تاي دانيا مزروي بولون تموت لا بولون كبوين ثيمون انتينس ممكن كان يتفنا هذا ما ظل ويسام زوارو 2018 يتبوي لا بولون تايمون تينس مشى زيوتكو يلول سينيس غوسن ومن بعد يقولوا دي ثموث لفيف نا ديزغان دي لوكران. Can you confirm that Lviv it's a town in Ukraine, in Russia, and it's not in Poland, but he was Polish? Can you confirm that?
Yes, you are right. For 100 years, it was a Polish city, but after the Second World War, it was grabbed by Soviet Union, and right now it's a town which belongs to Ukraine.
Perfect. Donc اكيد الفيفا كان ديك يقولوا ل 1920 تموت يقلن تابولون تمن بوينس لي روس مي كيف كان لدغاد قطراد اما ضلوا السين 54 ماشي انت ذا بولون كن ستيفن زوتكو كن نظام دا شكاي سيوضنا سكسير ويسكرا سيني غامتكا ملا تونفكاك تسوار تونس تروح تزرد داك كاين جي اس كا دي ثالث زيوتكو من بعد. My next question, did you get a chance to visit Kabylia maybe during the period where Stefan Żywotko was coach at JSK, or even after? Because you sent me some pictures that were seeing these pictures with some players like Nasser Bouish and so on. Can you please confirm if you did visit JSK, Tizi Ouzou or Kabylia?
Well, of course, it was like when I went to Algeria 2018 in April. It was, one of the main reasons to go to Alger. But of course, how can you write a book about, your hero without going to a city and to place where he worked? So yes, in 2018, I went to Tizi Ouzou. But of course, before when Mr. Żywotko was working as a coach of JSK 1977, 1991, I was not able to go over. I was too young at that time.
Okay. So what was the year did you visit Kabylia?
It was April 2018. First of all, I must say that for me, as a journalist at that time, it was a time of President Bouteflika. It was a different time, I believe, in the history of Algeria. It was extremely difficult for me to get there because I applied for a visa as a journalist visa to Algeria. It was in the end of January 2018. And at the same time, it was my mistake. I bought a ticket to Alger, and I was waiting. I was waiting 1 week. I was waiting 2 weeks. I was waiting 3 weeks, and my ticket was for 1st of March 2018. Okay. And there was no answer from the Algerian embassy in Warsaw. So in the end of February, just a few days before my schedule. Before my flight, I decided to go to the embassy and to ask what's the reason that I don't have a visa, that I have that there is no response. And they explained me politely in the embassy that you applied for a journalist visa. They are checking you. Who are you? What is the reason you are coming to our country? Who are you going to talk to? And they didn't give me a visa. And my ticket, I lost ticket. And I lost money, of course. And it was extremely disappointed for me. And like I would say for a couple of weeks, finally they said, yes, you can come to Algeria. But for me, it meant that I needed to buy another ticket, yes. So it was like very complicated story, but finally, I managed to go to Alger. I managed to go to kabyle region, and it was a great experience.
So you lost ticket, but after that, about 1 month later, you bought another ticket and you went to Algiers and Kabylia.
I didn't have choice, and what should I add? There was I remember that at that time it was like advice on the pages of Polish foreign ministry. If you go to Algeria, don't go to Kabyle region because it's not stable, because there is some danger for foreigners. So, well, I was thinking about this, but on the other hand, I asked some journalists who I have known from the past, how is it? And they said, no, don't worry, you just come. And when I went to Algeria, when I went to Kabyle region, I realized that people were extremely friendly, supportive. They tried to help me as much as possible. And I must tell you, Rashid, that at that time I didn't expect that I will manage to talk to so many former players of JSK. I even met Rabah Majer. At that time, he was the head coach of Algerian national team. So it was an honor for me, like, for instance, to meet Mouloud Iboud, Nasser Bouish, Medan, so many great players, Murat Amara. So it was like, great story for me to talk to these people and to put everything to my book about Stefan Żywotko.
Let me translate all what you said. It was many things. So, Miss Michel, ذاكن مسكسر ما يروح تموت يقبليا يغزر ذين إنك خمايوث لغطان ذي مغران سكني ذي زوج 2018 يورد بي دافيون يجال ذاني سهلين كذا يروح الجزائر مشى إن وقاعد يقولن لومباساد نستهزن الجزائر وزفكينا الفيزا مي يكسروا حتى كي نس لافيون الناس امي يروح يسقساتني الناس يواشو الناس نكوني نبغى نخدم انا ذي في لاكو كاع هذا شو يثليض واش تروح هذا تموت ني قبيليين ولا الجزائر كي يواشو هذا شو ثليض شو تخدموا دونك انا ذير يعطل لك يخدم ديالتي كلت تشوفون ديما دوني تروحون تموت ني قبيليين كان يد الجزائر كي تولي ماشي كي سبقونا كي تموت القبايل سكان بوينات تدي قرب نسل بعيد عن القرب انا ويس تجين النس دونك مشتال مسكين يروح مكان يصروح كان بينس بوريان كوز دو لا لونتور بيروقراطيك لدغا كي وندنير يلتي كنت هذه شود ومسلايره في موثني قبالين تسكوكرونا طاس ودابو الجزائري مشاكير نسحس فطاس طاس هي بوكيني فغا غادي يروح يلتيان غادي يروح ميشيل ياود يورد بدافيون في ميست كان الفيزا ابري دغا يروح كومام انك دغا يغرا كني السيت المينيستير دي زافير ايترونجير نسن لا بولون داكن ما تروح ما تزاوج تروح تاع تموثني قبالين كيكوس الحين هذا كندا الامريكان لان الجزائر لان تموت القبائل ذي الوحش مما يفغانيين ماشي يروح الجزائر يوصى كيم دوكا لي سينا مثلا الجزائريين الناس تاقوا راس روحوا تصاح كيضرون داش كي يضران يروح يزرد دي ميوغان يقفورن JSK يجبان مولود عبود نصر بويش يزرد ما مثل غمين الزيان كيمبيرن ربح ماجر داش كي راح تيعاوننا طس وكنا ديالو اذلي سكينس في ستيفان زيوتكو كذا سقسيو نظام سينير ميشيل is first how long did you spend in Kabylia and then all those meetings that you got from with the JSK players like Iboud and Bouish, all those Hakim Medan helped to you to write your book. It was useful to do that for you for your book.
Yes, I spent over a week in Algeria and in the Kabyle region and in Tizi Ouzou, and of course, yes, like talking to these great, famous, well-known players. For me, as a sports reporter, it was an honor to talk to such a great players. Not only did they do a lot for JSK, but as well for Algerian football. they were extremely helpful. They were extremely supportive. Many anecdotes, many interesting stories. How was it to work with Stefan Żywotko about his coaching methods? Mr. Stefan was a very disciplined coach. It was a coach of an old style, like, you know, to have everything under control, very disciplined, and all the players, they underlined how great for them it was to work with Stefan Żywotko. At that time, JSK, it was like they were called, as you know, Jumbo Jet. Yes, they said that it was like Barcelona of Afrika. Yes, so very significant nicknames. So yes, it was great, and everything is in the book about Stefan Żywotko, and it's not only a book about Stefan Żywotko. I must say that there are lots of stories about JSK, about the club, about kabyle culture. For me, it was great that, you know, as a reporter and as a journalist, I could learn something more from you know, from great history of kabyles.
Perfect. Can you remind me what was the date exactly that has been published? The book, it was in 2021. Which month exactly?
It was published August 2021.
It looks like, Michel, you felt that Stefan Żywotko is about to leave the earth, and then maybe that's the reason why you pushed it to publish it almost half a year before he died. Is that true?
Yes.
You had the feeling that maybe we'll.
Yes, I must, Rasid. I must tell you one thing, that when I started writing a book, it was almost exactly 5 years ago.
Wow.
The my first meeting with coach in Szczecin. It's far away from a place where I live. It's like 600 kilometers. Okay. So I went there to Szczecin by train.
It is in northwest of Poland.
It's north, yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's nearby the border with German. So I went there. I spent there a couple of days, and at that time, you know, like even 2-3 years ago, it was very easy to communicate with Stefan Żywotko, even though he was very old, like almost 100 years. He remembered many things, many details. Of course, I checked everything. Was he right? Because we all know that sometimes you can make mistakes with results, with players. But at that time, he was like mentally, even physically, he was very strong. And he was actually struggling in the last I would say several months, being after coronavirus, and you know it causes effect on his health. But when I started writing this book, it was with him everything was great. So. When they organized a special meeting in Szczecin about the book, so I talked to Mr. Michał Żywotko, the son of the coach, and I told him, in Polish we say that you can sometimes do something in 5 minutes to 12. It means that you do something in the very last moment. But I told at that time Mr. Michał Żywotko, Mr. Mieczysław, we managed to write this book. We managed to put everything into words, not 5 minutes to 12, but in 1 minute to 12, in the very, very last moment. So I was really glad. I was really glad that finally I managed to find a Polish publisher, very good Polish publisher, Polish Resemblance Institute from Szczecin. who decided to publish this book, and that all the life of Stefan Żywotko, what he did in Lviv before the Second World War, his life in Szczecin after the Second World War, and especially the third chapter, the biggest chapter of the book, is about his staying in Tizi Ouzou and working with JSK kabyle, that we managed to put that everything there is in the book about him, and he was aware that that there is a book about him, and his son, Mr. Michał Zichlar, told me that in one of his last weeks, months, he said, "Oh, there is a book about me, so it means that I achieved something in my life. It's something really great. It's something really significant." Yes.
Thank you very much, Michel. Translate what you said. تسيدنا ماشي ديال تروسال روح كنسوزل سقساتني راس تروح هذا ما كان تخص شو مص باللي زيوتكو غادي يمث ميتفاض هذا اللي ساكيني كيشوف هذه دي روشت 2021 يقريبا 6 كورن قبل هذه يمث ان كيكون هكا ديني رشيد ذا كان ثلاثه ذكيه 5 سكواسني يتفدي غايا ماشي ميتو كان ماشي راح حاسكان تلاقى اللي بوديك يسفكا لي دوني فهم زروين ستيفان زيوتكو يروح ندخفان كيسي دي شابيتر maintenant يخفوست الكراف التلازم شاتين تيكو دامبران نحكي دوك يمكن قدام دي ثموث اللي قبلين غادي تيزي وزو يفرح حطاس بدي فار وقتهم شي دانيك سالنا تشوفها اميان يوريث بخام تزريين يكتوسنا دي بولوني قبلن ضايب فرح وغاد ستيفان زيوتكو يفرح ان ياس ما كان ميلان يفرد وذليس في اللين هي حصيماني واماكن فرد اموري ذوك مره لكين يا خمد دي ثوذر ثيس I think we said everything, Michel. Just tell us now one word about how was the funerals of Stefan Żywotko, how they went exactly last week, 3 days ago, 17th of February.
Yes, it was just a few days ago. It was on 17th of February, last Thursday. Many delegations from his former clubs came for this funeral, like Pogoń Szczecin, one of the best Polish club, the president of regional football association, his former players from different parts of Poland, and especially I'd like to stress that the delegation of JSK fans came to Poland for his funeral. Like it was great. It was very significant that they found time to come to say goodbye to Mr. Żywotko. Among them was Mr. Zedek Mouloud. As you know, a well-known singer. So it was great. They presented a big poster of Stefan to the family. They brought a book. They brought a T-shirt, a green T-shirt that all the fans of JSK are grateful for what Stefan achieved, and they put this T-shirt on the coffin. So yes, it was really special and great that that people from kabyle region that they remembered about him.
Thank you. Translate what you said, Michel. You said the الجنازة ستيفان زيوتكو تلم فرنسا راحن يرثير بويا نزيك دي بولون ما وهذا كان مفرجن كيكير لا جي اس كا كدارني انا زور نروح كي تتوليم زدك مولود الا يحضر لنا كويا سمام تفلويت طابلو سوازاليس وفرحنا طاس سي ميديوسا زدك مولود ذكران بوغادي تحبين جي اس كا كي مساغا ثقرا تدي وين كاين سينير ميشيل. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation, Michel.
It was a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for this translation, and I really appreciate, Rashid, that you invited me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Rondem lila كنسمي لها ذيك كريسن تن نظام يشدن عيال أحريشن تودر تودماوين يشدن كيان أما ذي قبليين تقبليين مزيان دارن دوجد يشدن أغير قبليين وذم أوس أوسريدنا أبو سريد ذي سيارة ذي نودين قيمة ثلوث